Hello, Dave here at TitleSearch.com and AFX Title. So how could there be errors on a title search? We're talking about errors on the title search itself, maybe not on the property title, but we'll get to that in a minute. And we're talking errors such as mistakes, things missing, liens not showing up, or even information that doesn't belong there, maybe the wrong ownership information or incorrect or additional property information. A lot of these errors start from the wrong scope or scale of the title search that's ordered. Maybe the wrong type of title search is ordered for the use, and maybe it's just an electronic report, not a full title search when that's what was needed. And sometimes the wrong pricing is selected for the title search and it doesn't collect all the information. So the first and most common source of title search report errors is use of online records, using electronic data records rather than the in-person official pieces of paper that are recorded in the county recorder's office or government recorder's courthouse. So using online records is the first and most common source of errors on a title report. The next most common reason is using the wrong index. There are usually several different name indexes that can be used to pull the documents that go into creating that title report. Using the wrong index is going to give you incomplete or improper information, or maybe missing liens that are in the correct index. Not using all the indexes is another common reason for errors. On a typical title search, an examiner will have to look at 5 to 6 different actual record sources. Could be civil court records, could be land records, could be tax assessors. You have to go to 4 or 5 places basically to get the documents. If you don't go to all those places and the document that you need for your search that's missing is in the place that you skipped, it's not going to be on the search. That's an error. Using official sources versus third party. Sometimes a title searcher will use what's called a title plant, which is a private company that goes and collects all the records from the courthouse and creates a duplicate system of those title records, so they don't have to go down there. They have them in their office and they can just pull them when they need it. Usually that only happens when the title company is only working in one county, so that way they can get everything from that one county and try to keep it up to date. The problem is it's not the official record. If something is added afterwards and not recreated in that private collection, it's not going to show up when a search is done. So using the official government records versus some third-party copy of that will eliminate the possibility of those types of errors. Another very common reason for missing things on a search is using incorrect names or not checking all the names. Just because Joe Smith is on the deed for a house doesn't mean that there's not other owners on other deeds that need to be checked for liens or mortgages or judgments in those other names. So checking all the names is important, as is checking nicknames, alternate names. If the name's John, you might want to check Johnny. Jack, you might want to check variations of the spelling, John versus Jon, and that's a very common reason for missing liens if that's not done properly. Even last names may have misspellings on them, so do company names. Verifying the legal description is important, making sure that the document itself with that lien or mortgage has the correct property legal description listed at the bottom or on Schedule A, matching it up with the other documents so that we know that it's on the right property or the subject property. Comparing the releases. Let's say there's a mortgage on a property, it's refinanced at some point, and the old mortgage is paid off. Making sure that the release that's recorded matches that old mortgage. It's not for a different mortgage, there's not an error on it, it's not a fraudulent release, so that it very clearly releases that original mortgage and it doesn't leave it out there clouding up the title. Mechanics liens are a very common source of defects on a title. These don't have to be recorded. It could be a general contractor did some work on a property, paid off all their, or was paid by the property owner but did not pay all the subcontractors. In many states, almost every state, those subcontractors have a valid lien on the property until they are paid, even if they're not listed as the general contractor. And the homeowner has to be aware of that those liens exist. Mechanics liens are a big source. That's an area where you want to look at maybe constructive notice versus actual notice. Are there evidence of permits on the property? If there's a permit, you want to check with that GC to make sure all the subs are paid. If there's evidence of recent work, if there's a new driveway, a new roof, you want to check to see all mechanics liens, have they been cleared, and maybe those are in escrow. Is there a civil court system in that county which may have judgments against the current property owner or even prior property owners that could attach to that property? Those are often missed because people will just look in the land records. Hey, here's all the liens, here's all the mortgages, I'm done. Well, guess what? If there's a judgment against the current owner or a judgment against an owner in the past while they had title, that judgment may, by statute, become a lien against that property even for future owners, meaning you, if you're going to buy that property. So civil court records are a source that people don't think you have to check because it doesn't have to do with the property. In fact, a civil court judgment won't have anything about the property on it. It won't have the address, it won't have the legal description. It'll just say, here's a judgment against John Jones, and that's it. Well, if John Jones owned a property at that time, that judgment may very well be a statutory lien on that property, and that needs to be checked. Is there a wrong mortgage on the property? Meaning that a mortgage that was supposed to go on another property accidentally become recorded on the subject property because the wrong legal was used. That's something that happens occasionally and needs to get cleared up. So this is just maybe a dozen or so examples of reasons why a title search may have errors. There's dozens more. Experienced, certified, professional title searchers know to try to eliminate as many of these errors as possible and to look through these things just from experience. That's what they do. But you want to make sure that the type of search that you're getting is appropriate for what you're needing it for. You don't want to order, let's say, a limited search when you need a full search, or a current owner search when you need a chain of title, or a residential search when the property is actually commercial. You want to make sure you're ordering the right search so that it eliminates the possibility of most of these types of errors.